From KUNC and the NPR network, this is In The NoCo. I'm Erin O'Toole. A new kind of commentator made its debut during the snowboarding competition at this year's Winter X Games in Aspen. It's called the Owl AI, and it's powered by artificial intelligence. It sounds like this.
All right, folks, what an insane practice we've witnessed here in Aspen. Taking into account all of our historical data and what I've seen today, here's my top 3 prediction. Third place, Ayumu Hirano. Second, Yuto Totsuka. And for the top spot, Scotty James.
The Owl AI's prediction, made before the halfpipe competition began, turned out to be exactly right. The artificial intelligence predicted the exact snowboarders on the podium that day in the correct order. This is new technology being promoted by Boulder resident and X Games CEO Jeremy Bloom. In addition to predicting athlete performance, he says it will help make sports more fair by improving judging and refereeing. Bloom recently launched a business to bring the technology to all kinds of sports. Colorado Sun reporter Jason Blevins wrote about how the Owl AI was used in the X Games and how it might be transformative for other sports. Jason, arguably the most prominent use of the Owl AI so far was at the Winter X Games in Aspen. Viewers heard commentary from the Owl AI, and it also helped judges award points to competitors. Can you give a few examples of how the Owl AI gave a more objective assessment of performances at the X Games?
You know, for years, they've been measuring, say, the height of these athletes as they soar out of the super pipe, and they have a digital sort of way to measure that. It used to be like a flagpole, and you'd guess kind of how high those kids were getting.
Right.
Now it's really dialed in. In the X Games, this Owl AI just watched video replays of practice and accurately predicted the podium results.
Amazing.
Is it though, really? I mean, you know, Scotty James has won 4 times in a row. So it wasn't out of the stars, stellar, that this robot picked that lineup. But,
fair.
you know, again, it was impressive that they did this. And the whole idea is that the Owl AI can really kind of slow down the tricks and really interpret what is actually happening and maybe pick up things that, you know, the human eye could be missing in the judging booth.
Well, you know, part of judging a sport like the snowboarding halfpipe or like figure skating is awarding style points. How can AI determine how much style a competitor displays? Or is that something that should be left to human judges?
Yeah, and that is a tricky one because even the athletes themselves and the judges themselves, when you ask what is style, they'll give you very long-winded answers, right? It's not an exacting science when you're trying to do style, but it is a smoothness, it is a flow, it is a selection of tricks, it is the way that the athlete lands and handles himself, herself in the air. It's just a very hard to pin down kind of thing.
Maybe it's out of the scope right now, but who knows?
Who knows?
A major aspect of the Owl AI goes beyond the judging to the commentary. We heard a clip a few moments ago of the Owl AI talking about the predicted podium lineup in January. How can an AI commentator help explain what's happening to viewers better than human commentators?
So yeah, the new AI program, this is being unveiled by Jeremy Bloom, who took over the X Games, and he's doing this sweeping overhaul of the entire X Games brand and really program. But the idea was that he was going to take this AI and tweak it to where you could actually, as a viewer, say, I have never seen this sport before. And you'd click a little button on the internet or on your TV, and it would be a beginner sort of introductory level AI commentary.
Oh, wow.
You know, saying something like, okay, this athlete has a triple cork trick. A triple cork is 3 full rotations, spins while spinning 1,260 degrees. So, you know, they're able to kind of explain it, whereas, you know, maybe a more experienced watcher or viewer could dial up expert level to where you get kind of Tom Wallish level insight into, you know, what the trick is and what they're doing. So the hope is that this AI program could potentially increase accessibility, right? Like, I don't know if you've ever watched the X Games, but they can get pretty lingo heavy, and some of the tricks have such long names that they barely get them out of their mouth before the next one happens.
Right.
So the hope is that maybe AI can put it in a little bit more approachable format and accessible format so that maybe a new audience can find some traction there in the X Games and maybe jump on board.
Jason, we've been talking about the X Games here, but X Games CEO Jeremy Bloom sees this technology going further into other sports like football and baseball. How has he talked about AI assisting in those sports?
Jeremy is a former NFL pro football player. He pointed to some of the assertions that NFL referees were somehow favoring the Kansas City Chiefs, kind of mirroring decade-old claims that judges in a lot of judge sports were kind of especially fond of particular athletes. The idea that this AI judging can be rolled out, and this is going to be a separate business from the X Games, but housed in that same headquarters, and it's got its own kind of venture-backed seed funding here, tech venture funding. I think the idea is that once this is fully unveiled in the X Games, more sports will be coming online. And, Jeremy Bloom was talking about how it would, sort of align with some NFL recent use of video replay, when the refs go stick their heads in that box and they look at something, spend a minute or two kind of looking at it. Maybe they could be dialing up sort of an AI perspective. Did you see this, Mr. Owl AI? Or, whatever they're going to do. Who knows where it could go. But yeah, the hope is most definitely that this will expand into any and all sports that are refereed and umpired and judged.
I have to say, it seems to me with a sport like baseball, for example, being angry at a ref for a bad call is just part of the fan experience. Does a precise AI referee run the risk of making a sport less fun for spectators?
I know, not being able to be angry. I don't know. Quick sidebar. Have you been driving around in San Francisco? Have you done that at all lately in the past few months?
No.
So there's dozens, if not hundreds, of these robot taxis, right?
Okay.
They're just all over, everywhere. And drivers, human drivers, treat them as rudely as you could imagine. You would never do that if there was a person actually driving in those cars. So they just pull out right in front of them. They're, kind of things that you would never do to another driver, but you do it because a robot won't get mad back.
Right.
So I have to draw comparisons. I'm sure that people will be mad at AI judges and call them all kinds of names. But what's funny is that the AI judges won't care at all.
If it's soccer, is it going to take a human to issue a yellow card, though, or a red card?
Yeah, exactly. You have to have some humans out there somewhere, you would hope.
Jason Blevins is a reporter for the Colorado Sun who wrote about the Owl AI. We'll include a link to his story in our show notes and at KUNC.org. That's it today for In The NoCo. I'm Erin O'Toole. Thanks so much for listening.